Hi, my name is Rick Adams. I've created a health promotion program for the San Luis Valley School District. It's a fitness program and it's specifically for kindergarten to 8th grade. The purpose and mindset of this program is to defeat the diabetes epidemic, to improve academic success by incorporating age-appropriate fitness programs through kindergarten to 8th grade. One of the major goals too is to lower obesity rates. There's a huge correlation between obesity rates and diabetes. Pretty much, if you have diabetes, you have a high obesity rate, or you're obese. Also, one of the goals in this program is to teach a healthy nutrition class, which I'll get to in more specifics later on in this presentation. Also, we want to get parents involved with making good health decisions for kids, so that means diet, exercise, decreasing time with technology, which is a big part of our culture, but those are things that need to be done because the obesity rate and diabetes rate is growing and growing every day. Also, with the community mindset, we want to get families active, so Boys and Girls Club, soccer programs, baseball, gymnastics, and that type of nature. I have a lot of statistics on diabetes, just specifically in Colorado, since this program is for the San Luis Valley. More than 19,000 Coloradans are diagnosed with diabetes. It's a lot of people, and we live in a very, very healthy state compared to the rest of the country, but 19,000 people, that's a lot of diabetes. More than half the people with diabetes were diagnosed when they were 18 to 54 years of age. So that's just telling you right now, people are starting to get diagnosed pretty much junior, senior in high school. And with the food industry and the sugar that's available, the age 18 it's dropping. Kids are getting diagnosed with diabetes in middle school, 13 years old, 12 years old. We watched the documentary Fed Up, and there are a few kids in there that were, 14 years old, 400 pounds, and they had some surgeries and were unable to lose the weight. And going back to the correlation between diabetes and obesity, 50% of people with diabetes are obese, which makes sense. 65% of the people with diabetes have high blood pressure. Another statistic is it is estimated that one out of every three children born after 2000 in the U.S. will be directly affected by diabetes. So this program, again, the mindset and the goal is to prevent that. And the idea of this is to start the movement to a better lifestyle. This starts in our communities, in our schools, hiring high qualified teachers and health teachers, and even getting the counselors and school nurses involved. Those are 4 integral parts in the school to help fight these 2 horrible diseases, obesity and diabetes. The physical education program should be 5 days a week with an emphasis on fitness, not the old roll out the ball, lazy teacher style that I grew up with in the 90s. You had your football coach, with all due respect, football coaches, but that was the stigma that's created. And when I went to Metro State, and all my professors were like, "Don't roll out the ball. Create a age-appropriate program and make it fun, and don't just roll out the ball and play dodgeball." We're reading a book called Spark. And the book refers to a program called a 0-hour PE class, which uses students that have a high BMI index, and the teacher has them do fitness PE class before school even starts. And there's data that in the book that discusses how when your brain's being used and there's fitness involved, that your brain is stimulated and it's ready to do academic work. And there's great statistics on standardized tests that show that there's improvement because of the fitness and movement before class. Also, with your PE class 5 days a week, we also want to have health at least 2 days a week, and the health obviously would be age specific. It could be sex ed, it could be social skills, it could talk about making good choices in the nutritional department. Another thing that I'd like to see and done in this program is have the students create a garden, and they would get to see what real food looks like. It comes out of the ground, the dirt, it's not in a box or a can, highly sedated with nitrates. They would be able to grow the vegetables and fruits and actually have real food instead of processed food. America has tons of processed food. You go to Europe or Asia, everything is fresh, and it's just a different culture, but our culture is killing us and our kids. Also, getting back to the schools, the school needs to provide a healthy lunch. I know Coca-Cola and Pepsi and a lot of these fast food companies, they fund the schools, which a lot of schools need the money, and then they, on the other hand, they have their products served in the cafeteria, which it's not healthy. It tastes good, but it's not healthy. Going back to just the staff, I made a joke about the fat PE teacher just rolling out the ball. Schools need to hire physical education teachers who are fit and they're not fat. Sorry, that sounds horrible. But you want teachers to be able to demonstrate a healthy lifestyle. You want them to have the look of somebody that's fit, that takes care of themselves. They're not just unhealthy looking. It starts with the teacher. And going back to the health teacher, you want them to have the knowledge, the understanding of how to talk to kids that are obese and do have diabetes, and you want them to be empathetic to the student so the student doesn't get pushed away or discouraged, because kids need the support. They really do. Another thing to start the movement is the PTA needs to raise money for the PE department. That's a huge one. The school district needs to buy updated equipment and fitness technology like pedometers and heart rate monitors. All these things need to be incorporated into the PE and health program so kids understand why their bodies aren't healthy. This is a big part, and since we're in such a technological culture, this will be great. Kids will be curious about it, so that'll get them going and moving and get their heart rates up. This whole movement is to raise awareness of health issues in the community and our country, and to stop childhood obesity and diabetes. I think this is a good step. As far as the nutrition part, this is where the PE teacher and the school nurse need to get together and kind of collaborate about how they can do kind of some type of pre-screening. Obviously, this will be done in confidentiality, so the kids aren't in front of each other. But the nurse can have meetings with parents and kids, one-on-one or in groups, about the effects of diabetes, the obesity rates, how it affects the body, why their body's doing this. That's an important thing. This would require school nurses to do a physical on every student in the school. I know that's a lot of time. There's a lot of kids and schools are overcrowded, but this would give you some data on where you're at in your school. This would also, you could even incorporate some math for this for some of the older kids in 8th grade about BMI and heart rate and all those math skills. Another thing on nutrition is no soft drinks or fast foods in the building. I know I've already said that, but unfortunately, public schools need funding, and that's how they get it. But it's really bad. And going back to the garden, gardens for students to maintain and learn about healthy food choices. That's a great opportunity to even teach them science. If the science teacher wanted to help in and talk about how plants use water and all those different scientific terms. And going back to parents, as a teacher, you're their counselor, you're a parent, you're their disciplinarian. But at home, sugar is in everything we eat, which we watched in the documentary Fed Up. And there's pasta, which has starch in it, which is sugar. There's healthy pastas, but Coca-Cola products and all that, which are in schools, they have a lot of sugar. So we really need to reach out, talk to parents about making good nutritional choices for our kids. I just want to go back I should talk about how the factors linked to diabetes and obesity. It goes back to our society or culture in America. Poor diet, sugar, sugar, sugar. There's tons of sugar in everything we eat. I mean, if you drive down the road, look at the line at Starbucks every day. You see everybody lined up in the car to get their daily fix of coffee, and there's a lot of sugar in that stuff, and it's just part of our culture. But what it comes down to is moderation, I think, and to teach that reason why we need to do it. The effects of it are very significant to kids. I'm going to talk about the technology culture of our country. Video games are huge. You know, you're watching the Broncos play and you see an Xbox commercial for Madden NFL. Great to play. It's really fun to play, but you just can't sit around and eat Twinkies and drink a soda and play Xbox all day. Also, the thing we carry in our pocket in our hand that we're addicted to, smartphones. That has just really, really changed our way of thinking. We can just get any information all the time, and we're not doing anything. We're not being physical. We're just looking up things and finding random things with our friends, and chatting too. That's all this technology has really affected our fitness, and has really been a big factor in sedentary ways. And going from that lack of exercise, hopefully with PE 5 days a week, we can get kids moving, educate them on what our body does, the different parts of our body, how sugar is affected our pancreas, and how it turns into fat tissue. Another factor linked to diabetes and obesity is programs getting cut. When you have low standardized test scores, where do they go? They cut art, music, and PE, and these are all three things that we can do for the rest of our lives. And having kids not being active, it affects classroom. You have more issues with discipline, kids acting out, and that's just not a good thing. And also, going back, back to PE programs, the quality of these programs, they need to be fitness-based, not always team sports, and you really need to do fitness-based. Another factor linked to diabetes and obesity, some doctors may argue against, are genetics. Some people are genetically, what's the right way to say this? They're just, if their parents aren't healthy, they're going to get the same kind of diseases they have. So depression, alcoholism, obesity. And thanks for listening to this presentation. I hope this was very beneficial to you, and I appreciate your time. Thanks, and have a good day.